potential danger. To demonstrate this, Kevin programmed these emotibots with artificial emotion and reactions. They exhibit what we call anger when they're blocked, satisfaction when they're in the clear, and fatigue when their batteries are running low. We know what emotion they will display at each of these events because it's pre-programmed. But what we don't know is how they will react if they made their own decisions. Could the fatigued robot know to switch itself off? Or, like a 2-year-old child, might it fight the sensation and throw a tantrum? By programming machines with synthesized human qualities, could we be at the mercy of their moods?
When the robots react with each other in the future, perhaps future military robots, machines that have emotions as well, it's going to be very difficult to know exactly how they're going to respond and react.
But what if a tired robot decided that it could solve its problem by upping its power intake? What if it connected to the computer that controlled our electricity and intercepted our supply to feed its hunger? Is it possible? It doesn't look like a robot. In fact, it doesn't exist in any one place. But most of the 1 billion or so computers in the world are linked to it. It is the biggest and possibly the most intelligent machine system man has ever built. We call it the Internet, and it's controlled by humans. Every time we go online, shop at a supermarket, use a credit card, or do any of the thousands of things that might involve a computer, we are connecting to this machine network. And we're not the only ones. Many of the machines currently in existence are linked to the Internet in one way or another, to download software updates or tap into the data they need to operate. Machines downloading human instructions to improve their ability to assist us. But the Internet could have more sinister possibilities. What if our useful machines were to access a command that didn't consider our best interests? Machines are as good or bad as the people who control them. Many of us have experienced computer viruses. These are destructive programs scattered around networks to cause damage and disruption to our computers. The result of even the simplest virus can be devastating, deleting your files or accessing your private details. Imagine a very destructive virus uploaded across the Internet. One which was programmed to find and command the most powerful computers in the world, those that control hospitals, our emergency services, our power, and our finance. What if it instructed them to close down? Turning out the lights for a while may not sound like a life-threatening act, but turning off the power for weeks would impact our food supply, medical facilities, finance, fuel supply. Things our society needs to operate would be removed. It would cause civil chaos. Under the command of the wrong human operator, machines might one day take over the things we need the most. If they did, would we be able to beat them?
Now humans, we've been on the Earth for 100,000 years in roughly our present form, and we really don't understand human intelligence all that much. We then look at machine intelligence and we have far less of an understanding.
While many dispute his vision that machines will take over the world, few argue that, inevitably, humans and machines will continue to expand their connectivity. In this laboratory, at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, researcher Chris Carr is studying the intricacies of human movement so that exoskeletons, external body enhancing parts, can be designed, which dramatically enhance physical capabilities.
In the longer term, I think something adaptive could really give you great capabilities. Obviously, been a big push for the development of exoskeletons has been for military applications like helping a soldier carry a heavy load.
But the military domain isn't the only arena for these supersuits. This exoskeleton, being tested in Japan, will allow paraplegics and quadriplegics a machine-driven freedom of movement. No matter what their intended purpose, these mechanical extensions could be used to enhance humans. But exoskeletons are only the tip of the technological iceberg when it comes to the potential for human enhancement. As this biosuit under development at MIT may one day provide humans with the option of wearing smart skin, able to protect the wearer in extreme environments. A particular benefit in combat or exploration.
What we're learning about here is how to mimic skin. With the material technology, the advanced materials that are out there today, we can enhance the capability of skin. We can protect the skin from heat better. We can enhance the touch sensitivity of skin. We can really add any enhancement.
It's not just the addition of interchangeable mechanical superskins or implanted microchips that could be on offer in the Cyborg Upgrade Center. Research in biotechnology and genetic modification is entering the race.
Instead of sending soldiers into battle lean and mean, they are thinking about sending them into battle mean and plump. And the reason is that nutrition and calories is a big, big problem for soldiers in battle, especially special forces soldiers who just burn an enormous number of calories. When you look at how many calories they burn, and you realize, they can't even carry this much food.
So instead of soldiers having to eat at all, biotech research is working on a genetic trigger or even a pill that will allow them to burn their own body fat at will.
There are a limited number of ways that you can get nutrition. One is basically by eating it. But all of us carry energy on board in the form of fat. Now, we usually can't get at that energy in our fat unless we're starving, which is a drag, and you don't want to do that if you can avoid it. So the trick is, suppose you could turn on the mechanism that allows you to get at your stored fat and take the energy that way, so you wouldn't even have to carry all that food. What a wonderful world that would be.
Many experts agree that technological enhancement of humans is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. The question becomes, how long will it be? But what will it mean for humankind as a species?
In the very near future, your kid is going to come home again in tears from school. And the reason is that he just can't compete with these other kids in his school who are brighter than he is and more beautiful and more capable and more athletic and who are going to get into better universities because their parents invested in these human enhancements and you didn't. And the big question is, what are you going to do that day?
Within the next 20 years, you may be forced to decide whether to make your child a cyborg or risk being left out. And if you choose enhancement for your future, what might you lose?
Well, there are lots of things that are uniquely human because we have better brains with more resources. People reflect on things, they imagine things in their head, they say, what would happen if? And then, what probably makes people different from animals is that another part of your brain has been watching how you thought. And it said, oh, look, he spent 5 minutes doing this chain of reasoning and it didn't work. Why was he doing that? Maybe he paid attention to the wrong things.
These are qualities we take for granted. Yet at the moment, there is no machine in existence that can compete with a Mozart or an Einstein. Computers don't imagine. So what can technology offer?
I think what will happen is that people will gradually transform themselves and replace their brains by better pieces of machinery and will gradually turn into something else that does much more.
Will we have microprocessors that will allow us to think as humans but also perform advanced computer calculations. Or memory chips that will store vast amounts of information immediately accessible to our brains, allowing us to download a new language in seconds. Are we on the fast track to a world where we will scarcely recognize ourselves?
Exponential growth is surprising, it's seductive. It seems like nothing is happening, then suddenly it explodes.
Ray Kurzweil envisions not the machine-dominated future of Kevin Warwick's imagination, but a peaceful coexistence of man and machine.
Just imagine how powerful all this information technology is in our computers and our knowledge of biology today. Multiply it by 1 billion in 25 years, and you come up with some very remarkable scenarios.
One such scenario is a techno brain dump, a system that allows us to back up our brains onto a machine, so we can dip in and out of the information and memories.
We'll also get to a point, ultimately, where we can capture your mind file if you go out several decades. I mean, people think it's amazing looking back, let's say 100 years from now, looking at today, that we went around without backing up the most important information we have, which is the information in our brains. I mean, we wouldn't think of going through the day without backing up the important documents that we're working on our computers, yet all this very, very valuable information, and it is information that defines our personality, our skills, our ideas, our memory, is not backed up. We'll actually be able to ultimately capture that and back it up and restore it if you do get run over by a truck.
We might even be able to use these neural gadgets to communicate directly with each other.
Where we're going here with brain implants is telegraphic communication, brain to brain, and it wouldn't be long then, I would guess, before it's telephonic stimulation, communication, brain to brain, and hopefully thoughts, ideas, concepts, memories from person to person, all of these things, which are just electrochemical signals in our brains. That's what they are. These will be the things that we're transmitting in the future.
Just as our minds may be given the key to virtual immortality, so may our physical bodies. Biotechnology and genetic modification could vastly increase not only the human lifespan, but also our levels of health and fitness. Drugs may enhance our memories and senses. There are even microscopic biotech robots on the drawing board for the future, called nanobots.
Suppose you could create robots on this extremely tiny scale, and you could inject millions of them into your body. And suppose they were programmed to go after cancer cells and eat them up like Pac-Man. I mean, this offers enormous opportunities for health, for life extension, all sorts of upside scenarios.
Nanobots might even replace damaged human cells, like red blood cells.
There's already been a design of a robotic red blood cell that's several hundred times more efficient. And if you were to replace 10% of your red blood cells with these robotic versions, you could do an Olympic sprint for 15 minutes without taking a breath.
But for all the good nanobots might bring, their very existence could bring about the extinction of humankind.
The way you create a nanobot is that you create one little tiny robot, and then the next thing you do is tell it to make a second robot. So you get 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 robots, and that's how you make all of these things. Well, which is fine, except you better know where the off switch is.
Some scientists warn that just like creating a supervirus, these self-replicating nanobots could overrun the planet. It's called the hell scenario.
The optimistic version of their hell scenario is that we wipe out the human race within the next 25 years. That's the optimistic version. The pessimistic version is the one in which we wipe out all of life on Earth within the next 25 years.
Whether it's Kevin Warwick's prediction of a machine takeover, or a world destroyed by a viral invasion of robotic cells, it's clear that the new technologies we're developing could be dangerous. So do we move ahead and hope that all will turn out okay? Or is now the time to say enough is enough?
It is not realistic at all. Part of being human is progress, is moving forward. And even if we stopped for 2 seconds and just caught our breath, there we go, somebody tomorrow would say, look, I have invented this new piece of technology that's moved things forward, and we're off again.
As in no other time in human history, the future of our planet and our future as a species is in our hands. Whether we decide to upgrade ourselves because of the threat of a human-machine-dominated future, or whether we simply see it as a natural step in the evolution of the humankind, one question ahead of us might be, who gets the goods?
One of the scarier scenarios about the future of human beings is that we see more than one kind wandering the earth. It's been a long time since we've seen more than one kind of human on this planet at the same time.
Will the divide between rich and poor create a new age of human subspecies?
You could imagine that you'd have one kind of human that we might call the enhanced. Those would be the people with the eagerness and the money. Then the second kind of human might be what we call the naturals. And these are people who do have access to this technology, but they choose to avoid it the way vegetarians avoid meat. The third kind might be the rest. And these would be people who don't have access to these technologies, and they envy and despise those who do.
For those who can, or choose to upgrade themselves, what's on offer could be an almost earthly paradise.
The neo-humans are going to communicate just by thinking to each other. Maybe whole chunks of memory being passed. So education will become a whole new thing. You won't need to go to school. You won't need to go to college. You'll just need to plug yourself into the internet, download whichever abilities you want.
We'll communicate by telepathy, be able to think in many dimensions, learn languages in an instant, control our weight at will, and possibly even double our life expectancy. But whether all this will bring the human race closer together or divide us still further is less predictable than the technology we'll soon possess. Will we become more or less human?